Drive with Paul Swann.
Welcome into the Wednesday edition. Your drive begins now here on ESPN 94.1 FM and AM 930. I'm your host, Paul Swann. We're here until 6 o'clock. We will, later on this hour, take your phone calls. 877-420-TALK, 877-420-8255. Coming up on the program today, we're going to hear from David Kahn from the West Virginia Power. Let me tell you right now, Kahn has been bugging me. It's like, when are we getting this thing back going? When's this happening again? When are we doing our segment again? And, of course, for those of you maybe not as in the know, we had some technical problems, and our engineering staff has been taking great care to get us back to where we could do the show. And thus, we did not have David Kahn for a couple weeks. He's going to join us on the program. I can't say what we're going to talk about outside of West Virginia Power baseball. Of course, I'm going to try to keep him in line because I guess the last time that Jansen Williams, our in-studio producer, associate, was here in the studio, David talked some trash about Jansen. Just said that, he said Elmore makes everybody better. I said, including Jansen Williams, and he just basically said no. So we'll see how that goes today in the booth as those guys. Jansen, of course, is in charge of the phones today, so he will be the guy connecting with David and taking your phone calls again at 877-420-TALK, 877-420-8255. Now, what have I been doing today? Football, man. Getting ready for football. I was watching Conference USA Media Day, West Division today, so that means I was passively watching. I'll go back and watch a little bit of that later when I'm not distracted as much, but I did listen to Judy McLeod, Commissioner, Conference USA. I will say this. I didn't get much from her. She did talk about 25 years at Conference USA, and that's something to be excited about. A league that is around 25 years is saying that you didn't mess it up. It's been around. That's pretty good. Leagues have come and gone over the years, and we're talking decades ago when there were different leagues that are no longer here. But leagues have come and gone, have converged, have been folded into each other, merged. And just to say that 25 years, and she talked a little bit about the Hall of Fame and some of the important people in Conference USA. I know that was a point of contention for some Herd fans because they're like, where's the Marshall representation? Well, you got to go back into the early days of Conference USA. You got to take care of some of those people as well. Give them their due. Give them the recognition. It'll come. I don't know if it's really a issue, if it should be an issue when you're admitted into the Hall of Fame. Now, if it's a major oversight and you're sitting there, years and years and years have gone by until you finally get into the Hall of Fame, I can understand that. But when you start a new Hall of Fame, there's going to be a backlog. So I can understand where you got to get some people in first, and you got to make that happen. And I think they made some good choices, especially Bob Huggins. You're going to put a coach in. Bob Huggins definitely deserves to get in. He deserves to get in most Hall of Fames when it's all said and done for him. Great basketball coach. He's been a guy who has put together some really good basketball teams over the years, and he did a lot for Conference USA. And when he was with the Bearcats, I love the mustard suit when he wore that one night too. I love the fashion now and then. He hasn't been sporting the mustard suit as of late, but still, that guy getting into the Conference USA Hall of Fame, I think that was smart. Make sure that you recognize some past members as well. So she talked about that. She also talked a little bit about the NFL Network. And it was a situation where it sounded like Conference USA approached the NFL Network and basically pursued them to see if there was an opportunity. And the way she described it was Conference USA had to educate the NFL Network as far as who they are as a league, what they do. And she said that once they were able to educate the NFL Network and everyone involved there, what Conference USA is all about, they were on board. They wanted to be a part of something here. And she just said, and I hope that this is how you approach all television contracts, because I'm sure fans don't think that this is the case with some of the television offerings, but she said it was a good fit. She also said that fans can find it. She talked about the exposure. During the interview, they talked about the promotion because the NFL Network, of course, will be promoting Conference USA to promote the product that they have. But that one struck me. Fans can find it. That needs to be stressed in every contract, every deal. Fans can find it. And let's be honest, broadband is not 100% across the United States. Not everyone has access to broadband, so not everyone has access to some of the digital over-the-top programming that is coming forward, including a lot of Conference USA. Now, of course, I'm watching Conference USA Media Day today on an iPad on ESPN Plus. It's working out for me. Not necessarily going to work out for everyone else. Yeah, I'm going to be the exception to the rule. I'm always, when it comes to this, I'm going to be the exception to the rule because I'm going to find a way to get this programming, and if I have to charge it to the company, whoa. Okay, let's not get ahead of ourselves here. Charge it to the company, he said? What am I thinking? All right. All in all, it was an interesting interview. They're going to archive this. I think they're going to replay it on ESPN Plus once they get it uploaded because it was one continuous feed, so you can probably find it that way. You can probably find it on Conference USA website. Don't hold me to that. But if you're interested, you can at least watch a little bit of that. Of course, tomorrow is going to be the East Division. West Division was the focus today. So really not much there for me to talk to you about. I want to focus on at least what Marshall has to say, and I'm focused more on the East Division as well because those are the teams, for the most part, that are relevant to Marshall when it comes to football. Not to say the West Division's relevant or not relevant, but when it comes to Marshall football, we're going to see majority of East teams, so that's going to interest me. It's going to be earlier in the day, so we'll have more to talk about tomorrow, but we're going to turn our attention to baseball when we come back. We've got David Kahn from the West Virginia Power. We will talk to him, see how the Power are doing. Later on, we will get your phone calls. You can join us, 877-420-TALK, 877-420-8255. You can be a part of the Miller Lite phone lines, and we'll also take a look at your tweets at Paul Swann. Real simple to find on Twitter, at Paul Swann. And we'll take a look at those as well. And some interesting stuff always coming out on Twitter, discussing a little bit about the television package. So that's always a popular topic. Whatever you want to discuss, we'll go there as well with all of that. So that's what we've got set up for the show. David Kahn, when we come back from break, you're listening to The Drive on ESPN 94.1 FM and AM 930.
Some of the best times.
You're listening to The Drive with Paul Swann on ESPN 94.1 FM and AM 930.
Welcome back to the Wednesday, July 17th edition. The Drive continues on ESPN 94.1 FM and AM 930. We'll take your phone calls later on this hour at 877-420-TALK, 877-420-8255. It's now time to turn our attention. We haven't done this in a couple of weeks, so it's really long overdue. We turn our attention to the capital city as the West Virginia Power are still in action. And you know what? They're only 4.5 games out of first place. And David Kahn, the voice of the West Virginia Power, now joins us. That's not bad. 4.5, pretty manageable right now.
That is very, very manageable. And Paul, I just want to say it was a long hiatus, but I'm glad to be back. We've deprived our listeners of Swann and Kahn for too long.
I mean, you can blame the weather on that one.
Yes, I completely agree. But I just want to say I'm glad to be back on the show. And yes, it's very manageable for West Virginia. I mean, this team is a little revamped over the last couple of days. Had about 12 roster moves that have gone through in the last 2 days. But we just finished off a sweep of the Columbia Fireflies this afternoon, and this team is looking on the up and up.
David Kahn, our guest from the West Virginia Power. So let's get into it. Let's talk about where the Power are at this point. 14-13 right now, over 500. You want that, but Delmarva is still always a tough team to overcome. The Power are in a position where, if they can get hot, they will strike and possibly get that second half season victory.
Yeah, they definitely are. I mean, the thing about it is that really it's up for grabs because Delmarva is still in first place, but they already won the first half, so the Power have a chance to kind of go for that wild card spot and really that just means you need the second best overall record. So we're really looking forward to the next road trip that we have because we start in Hickory, and that's going to be one of the teams that we need to jump. We really need to sweep that series in Hickory if we want any shot of taking a title.
Since we haven't talked these last couple of weeks, let's go over what has been happening with the Power. How have we got to this point?
So basically, it's been an interesting story because the Power have kind of been a little bit back and forth. You know, they had that tough sweep by Delmarva at home, June 9th to the 11th, and you're thinking, you know, that's the end of it for the Power. They can't beat the best teams in the division, and the team's a little inconsistent. You have some exciting moments and some really exciting players, but the guys just really weren't putting it all together. And then they go to Greensboro, a 3-day hot, muggy series against a team that's really had our number, and the Power won 2 really long games because of the fact that it was just a lot of offense, a lot of errors. But the Power won the first 2 games. That third game, unfortunately, Greensboro won it late, but you could tell the momentum kind of starting to shift to West Virginia's favor. And then you look at this series, the Columbia series, where the Power just overpowered the Columbia Fireflies throughout. Obviously, you got a bunch of newcomers. We now have 8 2019 draft picks on our roster, which is a huge difference because we had 3 guys get promoted. Stephen Moyers, we had David Schaefer and Joseph Rosa all get bumped up to Modesto. Brian Paul, unfortunately, went to the injured list. But, you know, the revamp to the roster so far has worked well. These guys are all gelling. All the new guys are contributing as well. And it's a really fun team to watch right now, and these guys are really enjoying playing baseball.
How important is that influx? You get that new talent, of course. The draft is always fun. You get that influx of talent. Is that, though, negated because of the fact that everybody else gets that influx of talent? You're just hoping you got the better kids?
Well, sometimes they do and sometimes they don't. It just depends on the MLB teams. The Mariners have decided to really flood the Power with 2019 draft picks this year, which I didn't expect. I thought they'd all go to Everett, and a lot of them did, but now they're actually coming to West Virginia after starting their careers in Everett. And so they've got a little seasoning, they've got a little bit under them, and now they're experiencing full season ball. Now, they're not going to come in and be perfect, but they're coming in and contributing and providing valuable innings, and it's really helpful to have a fresh arm or a fresh bat or a fresh fielder when some of these guys for West Virginia have been playing all 97 games and they finally get a little bit of time off or you know, don't have to play every day like they've been doing, and then that allows them to recharge and get hot for the home stretch.
David Kahn, our guest from the West Virginia Power, of course, fresh off, we haven't talked about that, fresh off the victory. You beat Columbia, you give up 11 hits, but you win. If I'm looking at this correctly here, you win 4-3.
Yep.
Yeah, 11 hits you give up. You only get 6 hits in that contest, but that's okay. You score 4 runs. That's all you need.
Oh, yeah. I mean, we walked it off on a sacrifice fly. It was a weird game. Our last 3 runs we scored on sacrifice flies, and we ended up winning the ball game. So it's a weird thing. We had 2 blown saves in the game on 2 solo home runs, but, hey, you get the W, and that's all you ask for.
David Kahn joining us from the West Virginia Power now. Back in action against Delmarva. Thirsty Thursday, of course, second half of the season. The fun promotions truly kick in the gear, right? You've got some stuff coming up.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, this weekend for sure. On Thursday, as you mentioned, Thirsty Thursday. I know one of your favorites, Paul. And we've got actually we're doing a canned food drive tomorrow as well. All the proceeds that people donate will go to the Mountaineer Food Bank. So anyone who brings in a non-perishable food donation will get a free ticket voucher good for the rest of the year. That's a really good deal for you all there. On Friday, it's Faith and Family Night. We've got 2 really awesome performers coming into town. We got Kyle Huffman and we have Todd Agnew, 2 fantastic performers, going to do a great job. They're both going to perform pregame. And then we're also hosting a fireworks show for post-game. And then we've also got a toy drive for Christmas in July on Friday as well. And the same thing as we did for the Mountaineer Food Bank, all those toys that people bring in to donate to the Salvation Army, we will be giving away ticket vouchers to everyone who brings a donation. So a lot of chances to come in, give back to the community, and then also get a free ticket for the rest of the year. On Saturday, we're giving away a cooler bag giveaway for the first 1,000 fans, and then Sunday we wrap up our homestand with a Kids Sunday Funday. David
Kahn, our guest from the West Virginia Power, and I'll tell you what. You've been pretty good so far. You haven't insulted Jansen Williams, Marshall basketball great in making. I mean, he's in studio today. I didn't know how this would go down. He's in the other side. He's on the other side of the glass. So I was just kind of worried what would happen.
No, Jansen called me, and I want to apologize to Jansen again, but I want to say Paul set me up. So Jansen, you're a good guy. I apologize, and blame Paul.
No hard feelings, brother. No hard feelings.
All right.
Yeah, so it's all good. I just want to make sure you guys made peace with each other. I mean,
no, we're good. Yeah, Jansen and I are good.
Okay, making sure, because you guys have got to work together at least once a week. So
it's your fault.
It's not my fault. It's not my fault. So you missed this little once a week thing here. This show we do. This chance for you to talk about all things David Kahn. I know you were jonesing the last couple weeks. I mean, you would text me every day, just like, we're getting back on the air. We're getting back on the air.
Well, someone had to take vacation.
Sorry.
No, it's well deserved. I'm kidding.
I mean, come on now. Why are you hating on that? I mean, you get a vacation from sports when you when Tulane football begins.
That's not a vacation. I'm still working those games.
I mean, they're not playing, so why should you work them?
Well, I have to work at IMG.
Yes, man. But is Tulane really playing football? I mean, they've got a football team.
Hey, we won a bowl game.
Oh, you won a bowl game.
Down over there.
You won a bowl game.
We were also the Co-America West Division champions, so you pipe down.
What'd that get you?
A banner.
Got you a banner. Okay, so is Tulane advocating for Marshall's admission into the American? Is that committee been formed yet? Yeah. Have you talked to your Tulane friends?
I have put in the word.
It's not happening, is it?
No, it's not.
You guys are greedy. You want more of that massive television contract money.
Honestly, I was like, hey, we need to get the herd into the American. It's a great fit for everyone, and I got a flat out no. Do you get on the fan boards? I mean, are there fans in the American? Do you have message boards? I tend to stay off of those message boards because occasionally they're going to talk about the studio host, and I don't want to read any comments about me. So I just let it be.
Fair enough. David Kahn, our guest.
I'm sure you do the same thing.
If I look at Twitter sometimes, that's an achievement. I'm serious. I was like, okay, let's see what's on here today. Okay,
you only use Twitter to trash me.
No, I do not. I do that right here. I don't need Twitter for that. I got this right here. No, our wars are a little bit more personal, with the texting back and forth. I go direct to.
Yeah, during hockey games. Yeah, exactly.
I wasn't going to bring that up.
Well, it's been brought up.
You brought it up here. You completely.
I know. I'm not saying I didn't. I'm just saying it's brought up.
Okay, it is brought up. And he's David Kahn. He is from the West Virginia Power, and in a few weeks, so are we gonna do Swann and Kahn during football season when you're not doing basketball or baseball or anything else? Are we gonna do this? Is this gonna be us breaking down? Is this gonna be you're gonna be like my American correspondent.
Okay, I'll do that. I'm absolutely down to do that. We can talk Marshall, we can talk Tulane, we can talk whatever.
Yeah, because I'm sure the fans want to hear about Tulane football on a weekly basis.
Well, they might want to know about the conference that Marshall might go into.
Do you really think that's going to happen? That they're actually going to extend the invitation to anyone?
Paul, stranger things have happened.
All right. Fair enough.
That's true.
That is true. Very true. David Kahn's our guest from the West Virginia Power. And, of course, where was Tulane picked? By the way, all kidding aside, where was Tulane picked?
Tulane was picked to finish third in their division.
Okay, third in the division.
Yep. They got 60. They got 23 first place votes, I think is what it was.
It's not terrible.
No, not bad. And Tulane was underrated last year too, and they ended up, co-division champs. So, whatever.
All right, co-division champ Tulane got to go to a bowl.
Yep, won the bowl.
And since you follow, I'm bringing this up for a reason. Since you do follow the American, there are reports because, of course, throughout the week here, we're going to have media days for several leagues, and when UConn was announced that they were leaving, so basically, AAC's annual football media day, Mike Oresco said they have no plans to add a member to replace UConn. They're not targeting anyone. I'm sure that's going to be a body blow to a lot of programs that have thought that, okay, maybe this is our chance, this is our shot to move up and change our course.
So here's the thing with that. I don't like it, but I get it for this year because it's too late. Like, you can't really do that. Like, it's too late in the immediacy to say, oh, we're going to add someone right away. But, I think down the road, they're going to need to even it up because it's too much logistical sense not to even it up.
But with the television contract the way it is, you got to spread the money out a little bit more. If it stays close to what it is, because, again, that thing's going to be renegotiated, I'm sure, or at least it's going to be revisited. There is that option when you lose UConn. And so, could you see a situation where, all right, a school's brought in to fill the football need only to even those numbers up?
Yeah, 100%. I could definitely see that, especially because there's basketball schools in the American that aren't football schools, like Wichita State and other things like that. Like, I could definitely see a situation like that where you bring in like a Coastal Carolina just football, or some, not saying it's them, but like just a school like that, and just a just football American school. I could see it happening. I'm not saying I want it to happen, but I could see it happening.
He's David Kahn. He is the voice of the West Virginia Power, also a huge fan and supporter and cheerleader of the American Athletic Conference, and also represents them in all aspects that are not officially handled. And he will probably be responsible for naming the new AAC Bowl game that'll start in 2020 at Fenway Park. Will that be the David Kahn Bowl? Boston's Fenway Park. Talk to me, man. That's your home.
Look, Paul. I wasn't going to say anything, but I've already laid the groundwork for that. So we're working on it.
Come on.
It's too long of a name, the David Kahn Bowl. We wanted to get something catchier that kind of clicks more. So I'm trying to get a sponsor to go along with it.
How about the New York Yankees Copycat Bowl?
Oh no, that is the worst suggestion I've ever heard in my entire life.
I mean, hey, you've got the Yankees and their beautiful stadium hosting a bowl game every year, and Boston just couldn't stand to have that happen, so they had to go copy that concept.
Look, I've never been to Yankee Stadium, so I don't know what you're talking about, but Fenway is gorgeous and deserves to host a bowl game for many a year. So I'm glad this is finally happening.
Okay, all right. David Kahn, West Virginia Power. Yeah, we're going to structure this one time, actually. Really.
Will we though? Like, will we ever?
No. I don't think so. We're not going to structure this ever. It's going to be you, me.
No, that takes all the fun out of it. I never know what's going to happen in this conversation.
I never know what's going to happen in this conversation.
And you actually prep for it. I just answer the phone.
Yeah, you answer the phone. When am I going to get that phone? When am I going to get that seventh inning stretch phone call? Hey, Paul, can you talk for a few minutes? Yeah, sure. Skype me in. Go ahead.
If I can figure out a way to cross-lock your Comrex with my Comrex, we can make it happen.
Let's not. No. Come on. No, we're still getting things fixed here. Let's no.
All right. We'll let your technology have a breather for a little.
Yeah, please. The technology fails me sometimes here. Thankfully, we've got good engineers working on the problem. So, David Kahn, West Virginia Power. We will do this again next week, and hopefully we'll have more structure and rhythm and rhyme to what we do. Since this is sort of like I don't know, we're relearning how to do this.
Yeah, good to talk to you, Paul. It's always a pleasure.
All right, man. We'll talk to you soon. Thanks, sir.
All right.
That's David Kahn from the West Virginia Power. We will continue with today's edition of The Drive. Take your phone calls at 877-420-TALK, 877-420-8255. More on the way. It's The Drive here on ESPN 94.1 FM and AM 930.
Now, back to The Drive with Paul Swann on ESPN 94.1 FM and AM 930.
We'll take your phone calls at 877-420-TALK, 877-420-8255. Welcome back. It's The Drive on ESPN 94.1 FM and AM 930. Okay, we go from unscripted comedy, and I'm going to be honest with you. I was hearing myself and my headphone the entire time out of that interview, and that's just par for the course when it comes to me and David. So we're beyond that. You can find me on Twitter, at Paul Swann, at Paul Swann. Interesting comments. We're talking, of course, about digital streaming television. We've talked about that for the last couple of days. NFL Network, Judy McLeod, Commissioner Conference USA, was talking about that earlier during the Conference USA Media Day show for the West Division, at least day one. And we talked about the NFL Network. She said that they had to educate the NFL Network about what the Conference USA was all about. And once the NFL Network knew more, they were on board. And something that I hope that future television packages look at as far as fans can find it. Exposure is important. Fans can find it. And here is an interesting thread, and I'm just going to read the last part of this. This is from MU96 on Twitter, replying to me earlier today as I was following his thread, talking to him. Streaming is handy when on the go for sure. Need both to sustain and grow the fan base outside of Huntington. I've never been to a bar, restaurant that's had a Marshall Facebook or ESPN Plus game. So he's saying outside Huntington, he's never been to an establishment that's had Marshall Facebook or ESPN Plus games on their television. And he's talking about Putnam and Kanawha counties. He's saying out of sight, out of mind. And that's a good point because, for example, when we're doing our show at Roosters, for example. We've done our show several years during Marshall football road games. We are a destination for a lot of Herd fans because for a lot of Marshall fans, that's the only way they can watch the game. They came to Roosters. They'll go to maybe the Marshall Hall of Fame Cafe. Several places around Huntington always put the games up. And so if you're a Herd fan, if you're a Huntington Herd fan, Huntington area Herd fan, you can go to one of these places and you can watch the game. You know, if it's on ESPN Plus, all the better. If it's on Facebook, there are ways to watch that. You can watch it on Stadium as well. There are apps where you can get that stuff. It depends on what platform you have, how good your broadband is, how you've set your network up. You know, all of that stuff is important because you're trying to broadcast the game. And a good point because if you're outside of Huntington, when you come in, you set up the restaurant for game day. You know it's going to be a big day. Set the TVs up. You turn them on. Okay, let's turn on ESPN. Let's turn on ESPN2. Let's turn on Fox Sports. Let's turn on CBS Sports Network. Let's turn on all the channels on the TVs. Unless you go in with a group and say, hey, we want to watch the Marshall game. Well, where's that at? ESPN Plus. I don't think they're going to put that on. That's a valid point. Now, each establishment's going to be different, but that's a problem with the digital package. Now, on the flip side of that is it's pretty convenient. And again, I feel like at times I'm going to be the exception to the rule because I'm going to sit with an iPad. I'm going to watch the game depending on my location. If I'm not near a TV where I can put an app on, I'm going to stream it that way as well. But usually on road games, since my home base is either here or at the establishment we are at for our pregame and postgame, if I didn't have ESPN Plus or a few others, I'd have to depend solely on the radio. Now, of course, for me, that's what I'm pushing here, but I understand. I get it. But I think that's where you've got to have a fan base, a strong fan base. And this is probably going to be more on road games than home games because home games, if you're a pretty diehard Herd fan, you're going to go to the game, right? Let's just assume that for the most part. There will be some that are diehard Herd fans, and for whatever reason, they either can't make the game, don't make the game. And so they're going to watch it. Now, how many Herd fans that go to games are diehard, and how many Herd fans are casual? That's a big distinction. Because a casual Herd fan, they're just going to the game because, hey, it's Saturday, Herd's in town. Okay, we're just going to go to the game. A lot of fans even go to the game and not go in the stadium. They're going to tailgate. That's another story for another day. But your diehards are going to find this stuff. Diehards are going to, for the most part, they're going to find a way to watch that game. So I'm not worried about the diehards. It's the casual fan, though. And that's not a negative label. It's just, I got things to do. Oh, hey, Marshall's playing. Okay, cool. I'm going to watch the Marshall game. If it's available, if it's easy for me, path of least resistance. And I'm not going to put myself in that casual category when it comes to sports. Now, I will say this, though. Different situation on a Sunday when the local CBS affiliate, which, by the way, is not on DirecTV right now because of a dispute, a carriage dispute. So we'll see how well that goes in a few weeks when there's no Sunday NFL if that dispute continues for the AFC. I've got options. So if my team's not playing, I can watch them on the radio, or I can spend stupid amount of money and get the NFL Sunday ticket, or I can go to a different establishment. But yeah, I can find my game. There's a way. If I want to watch that game bad enough, I can find that game. But if you're a Herd fan, you want to watch that game and bad enough, you'll find a way. On the other hand, if you're a Herd fan, and you might be diehard as well, and you're sitting there going, I'm sitting here and I don't have broadband, or I'm not going to spend the extra money. I'm not going to spend the extra money on all these digital packages. Or I can't get Stadium. Cable has Stadium. Satellite doesn't. I've got satellite. I can't get Stadium. So, what am I going to do? I'm not going to sit here and watch it on my laptop. Okay, do you have a streaming app device? Yeah. No? Okay. I mean, there's going to be that disconnect. But back to the point, that's why you want your product on the most broad as possible platform, the biggest reach. That's why you want your package to be somewhere, as Judy said, fans can find it. And I'm not going after Judy. I think the NFL Network was a great step to help football. It's going to be on Saturday. And there's going to be a Conference USA game. Now, Marshall's not going to be on NFL Network this year because, again, NFL Network later to the party than some. So in the pecking order of the package, they didn't get to choose Marshall. Marshall was not available for them to choose when it was their turn. I mean, it's like, for example, if I was on one half of a pickup game and I got to pick second, I mean, Jansen Williams isn't going to be there. He's going to be picked first. I mean, I want Jansen Williams on my team. He's picked first, so I got to get somebody else. I don't know. Who would I take, Jansen? Iran Bennett, maybe. Jared West. I would put Jared on you. Yeah, because you don't want that. You know what? I like that. I like that plan. I'm putting Jared West on you. We'll see. Good for you. It'd be good for you. You're not going to see that kind of pressure. You know what? He gets 5 fouls, so we'll see what it looks like. All right, we're going to take our next break. We'll come back, and we will continue on with today's edition of The Drive here, ESPN 94.1 FM and AM 930.
Paul Swann has the wheel on The Drive, ESPN 94.1 FM and AM 930.
Hey, if you're in the Ashland area tomorrow and you like the University of Kentucky, we got something cool for you. We're going to be at Blazers tomorrow. Kentucky Sports Radio program that airs on our sister station, Cat Sports, in 93.3 and 1340. They're coming to town. They're on their summer tour, and I'll tell you from experience, if you're a big UK fan and you want to see the show, get there. Doors open at 8:30, my friends, 8:30. You know what? Because when I got there last year, big line, because people were smart. They wanted to get there early and get a good seat. Now, If you've not been to a Kentucky Sports Radio tour stop and you're a big UK fan, you owe it to yourself. So check it all out. We got more information. You can go to our Cat Sports Facebook page, and that's Cat Sports 93.3 and 1340. Check all of that out. They'll have a special menu. Blazers and Ashland, they're going to have drink specials as well, because I discovered that apparently 8:30 a.m. in the morning, 9 a.m. in the morning is okay to have a beverage or two. It's don't even give me that. Don't even give me that, Jared. You're eating. Your nutrition is guarded. I mean, you have nutrition specialists here. You're leading. You're the face of the herd. Conference USA schedule was announced yesterday, and of course, I do have in studio because, well, he is bound to this program until he gets his 300 hours. He is on hour number 17 of 300. I don't know how many hours you are, but Conference USA schedule released yesterday, and Jared, I got a question for you. You're going to be the voice. You're going to be the voice representing Marshall basketball. So you got to come to the microphone. Okay. You ready for this? Can you handle this?
Hello?
Hello. Hey. There you go. You do know how to use that thing. What's the deal here? Western Kentucky. You're playing them like days apart. What's the deal here? As you put the microphone back on the mic stand. Okay, there you go.
So, if I'm not mistaken, they have us playing, I'm pretty sure it's a Thursday, Saturday.
Yeah.
Thursday home, Saturday away. So it's like a boom situation. As soon as we're done playing, we're leaving either that night or the next morning to go to Western Kentucky. It's about a 5.5 hour drive.
You excited? You ready for that?
Sure. Yeah, let's just say that. Yeah, I'm ready.
All kidding aside, which we do on this show a lot, but all kidding aside, what was that stretch like last year, and do you feel that that's been properly addressed as a player? You're a little bit more privy to things schedule-wise than I am. Do you feel like that's been better addressed as far as the nature of that road trip last year that really for a while it was draining? I mean, it's not an excuse. I'm not making that for you, but it was something you had to overcome.
So, I mean, obviously you got two teams. They're going to have to do the exact same thing. So it's hard to make an excuse out of that, which is something we don't do, obviously. Ain't that right? It's tight, especially when you got, John, CJ. Anybody that starts usually will stay on the floor most of the time. It's tough on the body, I'll tell you that, playing back-to-back like that. Plus, both teams have to do it. They both have to travel. First they travel here, and then we travel there. It's tiring a little bit, but it's a huge reward if we can get both of those wins. So,
the good news is the trip after that, you're not going out to Texas for one thing, and you get some days off between that back-to-back and the road trip to Florida. You're going to Florida. I mean, you can't complain there.
Very excited about that. We're finally going to Florida. This will be my first time in 3 years we're going to Florida. But I'll tell you what, last year, coming back from Western Kentucky, it wasn't fun because we went to Texas 4 separate times, a Wednesday through Sunday. So all the classes had to be rescheduled. We had to talk to our professors, made sure we had practices in, weights in, all that hoopla. It was tough, but hopefully we don't go to Texas 4 times this year. But we're going to Florida, so I'm happy about that.
Yeah, you play Western Kentucky on January 25th, and then you play FIU January 30th, and then February 1st at Florida Atlantic. So you get the Florida schools in, and you do get a little bit of a Texas trip this year, traveling to UTSA and UTEP. But still, at least it feels like it's spaced better. With Western Kentucky, you got a couple of games with them, and then you get a few days to get to Florida. Instead, it feels like you're going out, right away to Texas and just playing like days later.
It's gonna be fun because I haven't seen a beach in a long, long time. So, and we'll go to Gainesville, we'll play Florida, University of Florida too. So that'll be interesting. But I'm glad we traded out Florida with Texas this year instead of last year.
How much was that stress? Just the fact that, and Dan took that on himself, the way the schedule played out last year. How much of that was stressed as you putting that schedule together and making sure that you're in the best position to compete and at the same time not play as many games?
I'd say our program does an amazing job with making sure everybody's ready to play, everybody's healthy and ready to go for whatever game comes our way. However, it's different going to Texas 4 different times in a season. Wait a minute. We did Texas A&M. We had 2 schools. Yeah, that's 4 times. Okay, because we had Conference USA out there in Texas too, which is I'm always fine going to Texas to play Conference USA because that's where it gets tough. That's where it gets down and dirty, ready to go.
Yeah,
so,
you had Texas A&M, and then you played Virginia.
They always do a great job. I'm just very happy with them, man.
Okay. And you were at Louisiana Tech on the 24th after you played Western Kentucky. So you played at Western Kentucky, then you were out at Louisiana Tech, then back to Southern Miss, and then you did get some of the Texas schools, and then you're on the road against Texas again last year. So all in all, it seems like it's a better schedule. And that's going to do it for this edition here on ESPN 94.1 FM and AM 930. Back tomorrow, we'll do it all over again for our guest, David Kahn. Appreciate him joining us on the program. For our tag team duo of Gabriel Sellers and future Marshall basketball Hall of Famer Jansen Williams, soon to be the all-time leading big man in the history of Herd basketball. All-time scorer, too. You're shooting for that, everything else. No pressure, I know. That's going to do it for this edition of The Drive here. ESPN 94.1 FM, AM 930.
WRBC Huntington, W227BS Huntington, your flagship home of the Marshall Thundering Herd and The Drive with Paul Swann, ESPN 94.1 FM and AM 930.